Okay, I figured out my key to success. Now I'm locked in. I learned how to open doors like a locksmith.
What's up? Welcome back.
Welcome
to the beautiful Next Element Academy here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where we, as you can tell, we're on the mats. We shoot every single Saturday, but today it's a Monday.
It's a moon day.
You're now locked in with DK and Atwood. I'm Atwood. The killer to my left is DK. The killer to the far left has been wrestling since he's 11 years old, training MMA for the past 8 years, 3-1 as a pro, fights at 135, which is bantamweight, the assassin, Austin Coleman.
Let's go.
So let's just jump right into it, man. Tell us how you got your start in MMA. Like, what made you want to start training? Obviously, you said wrestling since 11, so.
Yeah, so how I got started wrestling, or I should say the idea of wrestling, me, my dad, and my twin brother, we went to one of my dad's high school buddies' MMA fights. Okay. I had to have been 7 or 8 years old, so this is like early days. Like,
so was this on a reservation in New York, or
no,
was this in Ohio?
Yeah, this was in Ohio. So to be honest with you, I don't know the details of where it was, when it was.
Yeah.
I just know we went. And my dad's buddy was a high school wrestler, pretty good one too, from what my dad told me. But he didn't look like, a fighter. You know what I mean? Just like normal dude, kind of a little bit pudgy too.
Little dad bod
going on.
Little Ben Askren.
Yeah, honestly.
I got a dad bod going on.
Very identical. And he was short too, short and stubby. So, and the guy that he was fighting that night was ripped up, looked like, dude just stays in the gym all day long. And, I looking over my dad, I'm like, dude, I don't think this is going to go his way. This is not good. And my dad's buddy, absolutely thrashed him. First round, minute and a half, just picked him up, dumped him on his head, beat him up pretty good. And I was like, man, that was pretty awesome. So obviously I had interest in doing it. And, we went to where my dad's buddy trained, and it was him and 3 other dudes, all in their, 20s, 30s, whatever. So there's nobody for me to train with. So, he told my dad, you should have him wrestle. So went and wrestled for a year, and I was 7 or 8 years old. I did really good. We only did one tournament. I won all 3 of my matches. I didn't even ride the dudes out, or after I took them down. I just took them down and let them up. Took them down and let them up. Didn't apply by the rules at all, but I won all my matches because nobody could take me down. So, but, with all my friends playing football and baseball, and my twin brother playing football, baseball, my dad motocross, so we got into that as well. Nobody was wrestling. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, at that age, I wanted to be hanging out with my friends. Mm-hmm. So, fast forward a few years after, get to 6th grade, middle school or whatever, I wanted my own thing. I wasn't really growing. I was a pretty good running back, but, when you're offensive.
You're just not your thing, bro.
Just not big enough to be a running back. Fast,
physically.
Got good footwork, but I them guys got big, scary big in middle school. Yeah. So we
you need to be about 220 to be a good running back, man.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
I was a quarterback for Pee Wee, and after that, I was like, they're
I was
like,
a quarterback for
get
Pee
him
Wee.
out.
Can't even see over the line.
Yeah, like, get him out.
Yeah.
Quarterback for Little League as well.
Okay.
Right on.
Or number 7, because John Elway.
All right.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah, they got me out from behind the line real quick.
Yeah. But I loved all those sports, though. You know what I mean? When I was playing baseball, I was going to be in the MLB. When I was playing
Yeah,
football, I was going to be in the NFL. I'm sure that's how every kid works.
Right.
Dude, I remember you had to, in 6th grade, you had to write, what you wanted to be when you grow up.
Oh, man.
Pro baseball player. It was like, I'm going to be a pro baseball player.
Yeah. It's so that high level mentality has always been with me. But my dad kind of was like, we kind of probably need to focus on something individually if we want to make it in something. We can't make it in 3 different sports. Even if you are talented. So I chose wrestling because it was all about me. I was the only one in my family that ever wrestled. So yeah, it was my own thing, and I got as good as I could get on my own. You know what I mean? Well, my parents bringing me to the right places and all that good stuff, but for the most part, it was all mine. So that's what I liked about it. But yeah, that's how I got started in wrestling.
So tell us about the transition, I guess, into MMA, why you wanted to make that jump.
Well, I had a really good sophomore and junior year in wrestling. really
New
good.
York State, yeah.
Yeah, I in New York State. Yep, I wrestled. You know, I had a really good sophomore and junior year. Sophomore year, I placed high in the section, and I beat some kids that I probably shouldn't have beat. So, you know, on paper, anyways. And then junior year, I only lost like 3-4 matches or so. You know, and really just at the end of the season against the best kids. You know, so I had really good years. But then, you know, senior year, I you know, got a serious girlfriend. Started going.
Yeah, those always.
Yeah,
they seal the deal.
They distract you and they take away from what
you
was important to you.
Especially that young too. You know what I'm saying? You got
sure.
the testosterone's flowing like strong, man, and it's like you find that. Yeah, I see it all the time. Obviously with coaching, you know, you like guys get a little bit of confidence coming in, and you know they get shredded and they get, you know, a little bit of something behind them, and then a girl comes along, and it's like slowly they leave, they stop coming more and more. Slowly they stop coming more and more till eventually they don't come for several months, and then they quit. They cancel. So
and you see them again when they break up.
Yep. And you see them right back again. It's like, man, I should have never stopped this. Like, no shit.
Yeah,
anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, you guys intercept whenever you want. You know, so that kind of like took some of my focus away, some of my fire. You know, I showed up every day for practice. I was still, you know, doing my thing, but it, you know, mentally when I was there, I wasn't as, you know.
You're thinking about hurrying up and getting out of practice so you can go.
Exactly, you know. And before I was lost in, you know, being in it on a single leg. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking about anything but winning this wrestling match or this wrestling match coming up or making weight, or, you know, it was all about that. So, you know, and then of course, you know, you're a senior, so you're starting to go to some parties and stuff like that, and you know, doing your thing. So, you know, that kind of took my love away, I guess, or I should say the hunger to want to wrestle at the next level. But it very, very quickly came back. Started having problems with the girlfriend. I didn't like going to, you know, the community college that I was going to. So I was like, you know what? I already knew about jiu-jitsu and all that good stuff, because I've been watching MMA since I watched the first Ultimate Fighter when it was on Spike.
Right.
Actually, do you guys remember the show Contender? With Sylvester Stallone and Sugar Ray Leonard. Yep, it was just like the Ultimate Fighter, but it was boxing. Yep. So I was watching that in Ohio when I was 7-8 years old with my parents.
I was watching that too. So around the same time. You
know, my brain has always been about fighting or whatever. I didn't have to wrestle at the college level. It wasn't like, you know, on the top of my list. You know how some kids dream to wrestle at Iowa or wrestle here or whatever. I wasn't like that. I enjoyed all of it. You know. Right. So I was like, you know, I want to be competitive still. You know, I'm bored going to parties and going to school and whatever. You know, so I started doing jiu-jitsu. And like 2 weeks into doing jiu-jitsu, there was a guy on the team who had a fight coming up, and he was fighting a good wrestler. And so they had asked me, you know, to help out with his camp. You know, you help spar with him, you know, a few rounds, do grappling rounds with him. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And up there, you know, they do sparring like, you know, similar to how we do it, but it's like a little less controlled to how we do it. You know, they throw on bubble gloves, they tape up, shin guards, mouthpiece, and you throw down for your however long the fight would be. 3-minute rounds is what it was since he was an amateur. And, you know, we had a good sparring rounds. You know what I mean? It was close, but like, you know, I busted his nose up. He had a good bloody nose. I took him down a couple times. Like, I showed what I was about, you know, and I had no striking experience at all. And they were all really impressed. And they said, you know, they think we got a new, and at the time I was pretty little, so I think we got a new 125-pounder on the team or whatever. And I was like, all right. And then, you know.
You were only, what, 18?
Yep, I was just 8, you know, just fresh 18 too. Yeah.
And that feels good too when you feel somebody like talking good about you.
100%, yeah, because I think that kid was 20 or 21, so, you know, he had a few years on me as well, and he also was a wrestler. He wrestled for Onondaga, so I know how good. His name was Alex Potts. He's very good. He fought for Bellator twice. He won one and then lost one, and then went into the military. Nice. So really good guy, super good people up there. When I'm up there, I try to get you know, some jiu-jitsu rounds or whatever up there.
And that was Ithaca, right?
Nope, that was Syracuse. It is Bomb Squad though. That like that's, you know, but it was the Syracuse
Bomb Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's with Gene Mills' place. Gene Mills Pin and Win. It's like more like the wrestling club, and then he turned it into Ultimate Athletics, is what it was called in Syracuse, but Bomb Squad.
Right on. How many AMI fights did you have before going pro?
Well, I had 7 AMI MMA fights, 2 amateur boxing matches, and a kickboxing So
on.
what's that? 10? 10.
Yeah. Well, don't ask me to do
Sorry,
any
the math.
bro.
The math.
Yeah. But yeah, I met Austin. Man, he moved to Myrtle Beach. He was still a little kid, man. You know, 19 years old then. And you know, from right off the beginning, you know, I could tell he had something. He had some good striking, good, you know, or decent striking, I should say. He could get by with wrestling, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, we got him a fight. Where'd we? Warfare? Was it Warfare or
No, it was Valor.
Valor in Tennessee. Yeah. So
Nashville.
Did I fight that night?
No, that was the night that Cody fought and
Nashville. Yeah,
Jordan
I know
and
exactly.
Teeny.
Yeah, I know exactly when it was. Then, yeah, Cody had a nice war. Teeny fought, and Austin fought that night as well. So, man, that was a fun little trip.
That was a fun trip.
Yeah,
it was a really good fight too because it was funny. Right before I walked out, DK was like, "Don't show him you're a wrestler," and I was like, "Shit, that was my game plan." I was like, I was gonna take him down and just bust him up, but I really didn't though. I tried to wait for as long as possible to take him down, or you know, the urge to want to take him down, and really, I mean, I busted him up on the feet all 3 rounds, and I showed everybody that I'm a lot more than a wrestler. So you know, that was the last thing that was told to me before going into the cage.
Yeah, that was the thing. I didn't want him to like go out there and just take the guy down, because then they're gonna see like that's what he's gonna do.
Right.
Wrestle,
Strength,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's his strength. And I want him to build up, you know, as a fighter and get more experience, you know, striking and takedown. Like wrestling, he can do it anytime. He'll just going to change levels and he's going to take you down, you know?
Right, if it got bad, you know,
Yeah.
I was capable of pulling that out. you
Right,
know,
right.
But wanted to see what it was about on the feet. You know, if I go out there and take him down and just beat him up in 30, 40 seconds or whatever, what am I going to learn?
Standing.
Yeah.
Either.
What
Yeah,
am I gonna
and-
learn from that?
And range judging and stuff like that. Yeah.
And if you're working the guy on the feet, I mean, you always have the takedown in your back pocket.
Exactly. So
know?
it was a perfect.
And we also learned too, like, I mean, later on, you know, that striking on your feet, it causes more damage, or you earn more points from the referee that way.
Yeah, judges like
You
that
know,
stuff.
Judges love that stuff, you know, because he fought, you know, a few fights after that. He fought at Warfare, and he lost a decision after he took the guy down like 50 times.
It was
That's the
insane.
thing, and we've kind of talked about this before, but that's how fights are judged. The
Nowadays,
common
yeah,
people just
yeah.
don't know that, like
Yeah.
the basic, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, even me, sometimes, I mean, back then, before I knew like all the judging stuff, you know, and I kind of listened to some judges, and I, you know, got some info from, you know, Blake is about judging as well, you know, like there's a fight I thought I got robbed in Maine, and, you know, with the takedowns and getting mount and everything, but it's like, if I wasn't really throwing strikes on the ground, I was just throwing up submissions and different things like that, which isn't damage, it's just attacking, you know.
But that is a form of effective grappling, right? And that's
sure.
the second on the judging criteria. But if effective striking
Yeah.
isn't even, then grappling doesn't even come into play.
That's what the issue was with the decision, though, is that he didn't have effective striking either. So it was just
It was just like,
You
it was
know?
like he didn't have a chance to strike.
Literally.
Like Austin would take him down, he would get back up, Austin would take him down again. Austin put him on the fence, take him down, and then would get back up. Like, I mean, it was a fight that Austin shouldn't have lost. I mean, at the fight, I was like,
yeah. He got booed out of the place for you know, the commentators that were commentating the fight. They're like, "Oh, what's Austin gonna do now that he's 4-0 as an amateur? Is he gonna turn pro? Is he gonna do another Ami fight? Whatever." You know, everyone was like, just one. And then he even when they raised his hand, like, and you know what's even funnier is that even his coach, like, as the rounds were, you know, we go up to our coaches, we're like, "Oh, you know, whatever." His coach like gave him a hug and, you know, kissed him on top of the head, like, you know, get him next time or whatever.
Yeah.
Even his coaches knew he lost. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there is no striking to really be had, then I would assume effective grappling would be.
Yeah.
Because if there's no striking, that means it's even.
I would assume that the
know?
judges, in my opinion, probably thought I was trying to avoid the fight the whole time just by trying to take him down or whatever. You know, I would get in on a shot and he'd hit me 3 or 4 times on the side of the head, and I would take him down, be on top for a little bit. He'd climb up the wall, hit me a couple times, I'd take him down. You know what I mean? But there was, I mean, the strikes from the feet. I mean, I don't even think he landed a strike
Nah,
from the
man.
feet. Maybe a
No.
leg kick.
yeah.
Yeah, that's when it sucks, man. Like, and the thing is, like, too, you know, you have judges on 3 sides of the cage, right? And like each one of them has a different angle, you know, and they're judging things from their perspective.
Right.
So a lot of times you'll see judges that are just all over the board, and it's just because they just don't see it the same way because they're in different places.
I learned a ton from it. It made me learn to not just hang on the hips once I take somebody down, is to work up. You know what I mean? Get to a better spot, whether it's taking the back, getting them out, or just pulling them away from the fence a little bit, getting their back on the mat. You know what I mean? Because if you take somebody down while their back's against the cage, a lot of the time they just sit straight down, especially with a double leg, and they can just wall walk right up,
shimmy right
up. So it's just it's super frustrating. And then if you're the one constantly hanging on those hips, but if you just let go of the hips and posture up, then you can land some good strikes. They start to cover up, and then you can start finding better positions. So really, it was a crappy decision, but I learned from it, and I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, and it's better to learn, especially as an amateur. And that's why I try to get to tell some of these amateur fighters, like, man, like, you're like,
it's not the time to pick and choose.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, don't pick your fights. It's like, think of, man, what if there wasn't any way to go and look up your fighter? Like, I mean, that's what I had to do. I couldn't. There was no, like, you could look up their record sometimes, but like for the most part, there was nothing out there, no visual where you could formulate a game plan. So it's like you got to prepare for the worst things to happen, mount, all these different things, and then you show up to the fight, and then it's like, oh man, I've never fought this guy before, or seen what he's good at or does, and then you fight.
Nuts.
It is crazy. And so nowadays it's like,
that's how wrestling was though. So it's honestly,
and, but nowadays it's like, though, wrestling, jiu-jitsu is like, oh man, nowadays they usually have pre-brackets, right? Like you get the bracket before the match, and then you can start Googling your guy, and so you're prepped a little bit about what he's good at,
But I should say, you're right, because earlier in the wrestling, but then a website came out and it showed who everyone lost to, and not only who they lost to, but how they lost. Like, so sometimes you'd go out there and you'd be wrestling a guy and you'd be like, oh man, I beat this kid 9-6 and he pinned him in 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, but maybe he just caught him though. You know what I mean? Maybe it was a close match and he just caught him. You know what I mean? So then you're thinking about all this stuff instead of just thinking about going out there and wrestling your game. And
that's where we get mixed up in our head too when it comes to the nerves and adrenaline, is we start worrying about our opponent instead of just worrying about what we're good at. And so I try to remind my guys is like, hey man, think about what you're good at. Focus on you, and like, you're the man. Like, it's out of what he's good at, and what he's going to do to you is completely out of your control. It's not in your control, and there's nothing you can do to change it. There's absolutely nothing that you can do to change how he's going to fight you, how he's going to act, how he's going to do all these different things. And it's like, we waste energy in our brain, in our head, in our mind on worrying about that person. Whenever, we should just think about, all right, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to do this, this, and this. This might happen, and I'm going to do this, and, so forth. But I know it's what you mean. It's tough, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't relate, but I mean, I can understand, everything that you guys are saying. When it comes down to your pro fights, let's talk a little bit about the last fight, right? The last fight that was supposed to happen, XMMA. Walk us through like that whole training camp, and then.
Yeah, that one was a heartbreaker. Probably worse than the crappy decision as an amateur. You know what I mean? Like, it was just probably because I've never had to back out of a fight before. You know what I mean? I've had people back out on me, and it's been hell sometimes. I had a great training camp. I felt amazing for the fight. That's what sucks the most is that and of course since I train so often and I'm just constantly in the gym, and I'm always, as soon as I leave the gym, I'm working out, I'm running, I'm doing all this stuff, right? So, I'm kind of eating, not whatever I want per se, but pretty much, And so I think, when I made that switch up, fight week stuff, you can't eat whatever you want on fight week, of course, you know what I mean? You can't have salt, you got whatever. So, all the training that I do or whatever, and then that weird switch up to the diet or whatever, I think my body was just kind of like, hey, what are we doing here, And then, I could have come across some. I don't know who I was around that got sick or whatever, but I ended up getting strep throat, and it attacked me. It wasn't just like, oh, my throat hurts. Like, I had a fever. I was pissing out my ass. Like, it was it was horrible. I had cold and like there was nothing I could do. You know what I mean? And then that was 4 or 5 days before the weight cut, and I just kept getting a little bit worse each day until I finally got antibiotics. And I didn't get antibiotics until the day before what would have been the weight cut. So the only way to feel better, doctors will preach it to you all the time. Hydrate, fluids, right? And now I'm about to hop into a sauna and suck all the water out of myself. And I could not do that to you, this gym, myself, the people who love me and support me. I'm not going out there and fighting a professional fight on that magnitude and being, I wouldn't even say half of myself. You know what I'm saying? And that kid I'm telling you, that kid wouldn't beat me, not on a chance. If I'm who I am in that cage here, healthy, he's not touching me, and I'm not. No, there's no way. And all respect to him, you know what I mean. I feel horrible that he especially that he flew here and had to, but that's just the name of the game. Sometimes bad stuff happens.
Well, you got to care about yourself.
Yeah,
you know
I was
what I'm
saying.
saying.
And he agreed.
Game.
Me and him had a conversation too. He agreed. You know what I mean? He was like, "Hey, that was a smart move, and I appreciate you messaging me and being honest and all that stuff." And the kid was really, really cool. So it's all respect to him. I just think I'm a better fighter, which I'm sure he probably thinks the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
If you don't think you're better than the other guy, then why are you fighting?
Exactly.
Right. Why'd you sign up to fight him if you didn't think you could beat him? You know what I'm saying?
We know what those guys are about. Those guys they make a career at signing the line to lose fights, and I'll never be that person.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm not fighting at a high level against guys that are going to that next step, and I'm competing with them, there's no point in me doing. I'll just coach. You know what I mean? I'll do something else. There's no reason to be that guy. So
right. So DK was kind of touching on it. Fighting it's got to be a selfish game. Like you have to come first in your own mind.
Yeah.
Obviously there's other factors that play in, like you had said before, sponsors, people that bought tickets, all these things. But at the end of the day, like if you can't show up and
be 100%,
then not only are you failing yourself, but you're failing all those people as well.
100%. And that's why you need to be. That's why I needed to be smart too, because and I also if you choose the right people to be on your team and back you or whatever, all my sponsors, all my coaches, they all know. You know what I mean?
Understand.
They all know what happened and that it was out of my control a little bit. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm sure there's some things I guess I could have done differently.
Started diet 8 weeks out.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just or you know what I mean? Just
that's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Start a clean diet 8 weeks out. So it's like
when the transition
whenever
happens.
that transition happens, like you're gonna have your cheat meals and different things like that. But when that last week, man, it needs to be now we've been clean, but we're gonna start cutting down the portions a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
unfortunately that's the last step that I kind of have to, you know what I mean? Because like my training, my days, you know what I mean, all that stuff, everything's pretty dialed in now, you know what I mean? My mentality, everything's in the right spot, so that last bit, and honestly there's so many meal prep companies out there, like I could just pick one.
Megan just started using a meal prep company.
Exactly.
As well.
So that's something I should look
into. They deliver right down the road as well.
So and how easy is it too? I don't have to go home and think like, what should I make? You know what I mean? And then now that's an extra hour that I'm not resting. I'm not.
Dude, that's what I'm about to go do. I'm about to go home and cook like some chicken stir fry with some chicken and.
It really is just basic stuff like that too. You know what I mean? Meat, rice, some
chicken,
veggies,
rice, veggies.
fruit.
Actually, I'm about to go make some steak, man. Some dudes bought me. One of my students bought me 3 steaks.
Okay.
Oh, for your birthday.
Yeah.
By the way,
butcher shop.
Happy
Belated.
I was thinking of the word in my head. I was like, damn, what do you say when it's already
40
passed?
years old, man.
40.
40 years old.
Hey, you're pretty active for a 40-year-old guy, man.
I'm trying, man. I need to be more active, but I rolled this morning. I can still put out a little bit, but my shoulder is just jacked up right now, and so it's like getting older. That's the thing that happens is like you think you're doing good, but it's like if you don't warm up correctly, you don't do the recovery stuff that you're supposed to do, or eat right and different things like that, you're going to get injured quicker. It's like, since I was, these past couple months I've been injured, with my shoulder, and it's like I haven't been eating great either, the past couple months. So it's like definitely needs to clean up my diet, which I'm starting to, today, actually.
It starts today.
Right now.
Today. Megan's starting her little diet and everything, and it's like, so I'm starting mine as well, so I can stay a little healthier. And my blood work, I just got blood work done, and so that's like the ultimate way you can find out how your diet really is going.
Yeah, like what do you need more of?
You'll have to let me know where you did it at, so I can.
Well, I'd go through the VA, so it's like,
okay,
it's a little.
I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah,
Dude, I think you could even go to the Minute Clinic at CVS, and they can do to bio something. Like I
really?
did it one time, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, yeah, you should eat more fish.
I wonder if Tori and Mike's place would do something for me like that.
They definitely
You know
would.
what I mean? Like
Yep.
maybe they could just do a blood panel and be like, all right, well, this is stuff you shouldn't be having. And
that's exactly right, man. They can definitely do that. My cholesterol was high, but I eat a lot of red meat and fat now, But, it can tell you some lies, like your doctor's going to be, you're high in cholesterol and you need to slow down on your red meat diet and exercise. I'm like, I got the exercise part down, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but there's a whole big study on all that cholesterol stuff and how it's like, sometimes a high cholesterol in real life on a number sheet isn't that bad. It's because we need cholesterol to do a lot of different things, especially with our hormones and stuff. So,
yeah.
But, getting a blood panel done definitely helps. Gets able to see where you're lacking at in some areas and stuff like that.
It's smart. It's that next level stuff. You know what I mean? If you want to make it to that next level, you can't just be doing basic stuff that everybody does. Right. You know what I mean? You have to be different. You have to, have something. You know what I mean? That one up on the competition, and that could be it. You know what I mean? A good diet could help me out a lot. I think what I get away with is that, especially in the last year, I would say last 2 years, something switched in my mentality, and like I just feel like I can walk through fire. So I could eat like crap, and I come here and I train like a monster. You know what I mean? So then I go home and like, whatever. It
was like John Jones though, man. John Jones, he was singing the same. They used to party a week out from the fight.
Yeah,
he'd party because it worked for him the first time,
right?
And so he partied again.
That's exactly right.
And he made it like this thing to keep partying because he's such an athlete, anyways, man. Like,
yeah, that guy's.
So his was cocaine, mine's donuts. You know what I mean? mine's a little different.
Dude, I mean, he's been caught with a few DUIs too.
Yeah, that guy's. But he is a baller in the cage, though.
Dude, I mean, the whole family is.
You're right.
I mean, his two brothers are NFL athletes.
Sick.
One just
good
won
ones too, not just like guys who showed up.
They start.
They start.
They
Super
play.
Bowl champ.
Yeah, Chandler Jones, I think, is one of them.
Yep,
he's
Chandler
on the Chiefs, I believe.
God, man, he's
they're beasts too.
Yeah,
I think
all
he
very
played.
good.
I think Chandler Jones played for Syracuse too.
I think they both played for Syracuse.
Really?
Yeah, because I think, and then Arthur won a Super Bowl ring with the Patriots. I'm pretty sure.
Wow, man.
Or the Ravens.
Like, what a family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah.
Like, where along the line, like, did somebody have to sell their soul to get genes like that?
Yeah.
For all their sons.
Yeah, and if you look at the parents too, I mean, they're not like. I mean, I don't really know too much about their dad, but I don't think that he was some. Freak
the
of
mom's
nature.
actually blind.
Oh wow.
Oh really?
I didn't know that.
John Jones' mom is blind, so if you ever watch, it doesn't look like she's blind when he hugs her next to the cage.
Yeah.
And stuff. Excuse me, but yeah, she's blind, man.
Oh wow.
It's wild.
One thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Have you guys seen the card for Dustin Poirier?
Oh
I
yeah.
know, dude. Yes.
Wow. What a card.
That fight alone, I would pay the pay-per-view
Because
price.
Dustin
for
ain't
that
gonna
fight.
stop.
No.
And neither is Justin.
Yeah.
No.
But then
You know?
you start looking at the card as a whole with Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green.
Yep.
That's a very interesting fight.
That is an interesting
Obviously, Jan Blachowicz
Bobby
and
might
Alex
sleep him.
Pereira is a great fight.
Yeah, I think Bobby's gonna win.
Just so many different fighters on that card that I'm excited for that one.
It's
really
a great
am.
card.
Yeah, that is a good card, man. I wish it wasn't so like they announced it kind of
Early.
quick. No, like the fight's in July, right?
Oh, so you mean
like,
they announced it
They announced it a little late, I guess you
Yeah,
can
true.
say. It's like I'm like, dang, dude, like I would like to go to this, but you look at the tickets on that thing.
Dude.
Yeah, and you only have 2 months to
UFC
prepare
tickets
for it
now
to buy.
are like ridiculous boxing tickets.
Yeah.
now, man.
And it all depends on where they are, the location too.
Yeah.
I did, whenever I went to the fights in Jacksonville, that was Volkanovski, Korean Zombie, and then they had Gilbert Burns and Hamzat. I did the VIP, and I paid $1,100. But now, you look at the VIPs for fights like that, $4,000-$5,000.
Wow,
and that's just, they have, many different tiers of VIP. But the one that I did, they basically have this thing set up for you before the main card. It's all you can drink, all you can eat. They have a bunch of fighters that'll come in and out that you can meet and stuff like that. You get really good seats at the weigh-ins. Just that package alone for a card like the one we're just talking about, Dustin Poirier and Gaethje, would probably be like $4,000.
Yeah, man.
Even if I had the money, I don't even think I would. You know what I mean? Maybe I would. But.
So so when I was in the Air Force, I would get tickets to fights and stuff. I remember one day I'm like laying on my couch. It's Saturday. It's the John Jones Chael Sonnen fight in where they fight, Newark or somewhere around somewhere in New Jersey, obviously. And I get a call, say, "Hey man, you want to go to John Jones fight?" I'm like,
Kidding?
yeah. I'm like, yeah, let's go, man. Like, dude had 10 tickets, and so. And the was given to the Air Force, and so, like me and some of my friends, man, bad part about it was a week out from one of my fights, bro. So I was miserable. I couldn't eat. I was like starving, and I was on a gluten-free diet. And so that was the John Jones Chael Sonnen fight. And then I got free tickets to one of the UFC fight nights. Nope, it wasn't a fight night. I watched. Who was it? Dominic Cruz. He was fighting somebody for a title. I can't remember when, but it was in Washington, D.C., and I was like on floor seats. I had won.
How long ago was that?
This was, I was living in Jersey at the time. So, it was
it's been a good while.
Pre-2014. So it was probably like,
main
reason I was watching, Uriah Faber was there and stuff like that, but he wasn't fighting. It might have been Demetrius Johnson, maybe, but I'm not 100% sure. Did they fight at 135 for the belt?
I can't remember. I don't know if has Demetrius fought at 135.
I don't know.
I'm sure he probably has.
I can't remember.
I think he did in the WEC for a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if he ever did for the UFC. I want to say
can't
it was
remember who
Yeah.
it was. But anyways, I watched.
Because he lost to Dom Cruz at bantamweight.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, but I thought that was WEC. I could be wrong.
Charlie Brenneman fought that night against Anthony Johnson.
Okay.
And I had trained a little bit with Charlie Brenneman prior to that fight. Sparred him a lot for that fight, and thought he was gonna do well, but his sponsor IAVA, it was like Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans Association or something like that. They were giving away free tickets, and so I had to like put on this thing. And anyways, I won them, and we were on the 5th row on the floor, dude. And so that was free. And then I watched Triple G fight at Madison Square Garden.
Oh wow!
And I was in floor seats as well. I mean, with Freddie Roach, Donald Trump, everybody. We had a private little area we could walk into the back and get drinks and everything, and that was from the Air Force too.
That's sick.
Yeah. A recruiter in New York City, I was friends with his brother, and I was stationed with him at Fort Dix, and his brother I'm like, what? Triple G at Madison Square Garden, man? Like, it was intense, man. I just wish I wouldn't have drank as much as I did, so I could remember it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like, all my pictures are like all blurry.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to take a picture of Donald Trump on the floor. It's just blurry. You just see white hair.
Who did Triple G box?
Dude, I don't remember, man. I was out of it.
Because it's so funny. Like, I didn't, with all the people I do know and keep up with and all that stuff, I didn't know who Triple G was until he fought Canelo.
Yeah.
Didn't know
really?
who he was, yeah. Which is crazy because when I fought Canelo, I was like, this guy is incredible. How have I not ever seen this guy box before? But never seen him box before Canelo.
We were talking about Triple G was 301 or something like that as an amateur boxer. Do you know that?
Yeah, so was Loma. Loma was
Loma
super.
too.
Dude,
Yeah.
By the way,
oh,
I didn't.
I don't even wanna talk
I already
about
know
it.
you know where I'm
Don't
going
even
with
be
this.
sorry
I don't even
either,
want to
man.
talk about the Loma and
Don't
Haney
even-
fight.
Yeah.
That
I
made
didn't
me
watch it.
That made me
I heard.
so mad.
Man,
Lo-
it's
Loma-
just he's a tactician. We talked about it, a couple weeks ago, man.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
just a tactician, man. And it's just like his movement and his style is so good. I just don't, man. And Haney's on his way out, I thought, but
Yeah, he's my favorite boxer, and Devin Haney is Nick's favorite boxer. I don't even know if it's Nick's favorite boxer, but he says that's who he thinks the best is at that weight class. And I was like, nah, I think Loma's the best.
Yeah, I think.
And Loma absolutely beat him 8 rounds to 4. If I would say maybe 7 to 5.
Really? That
100%.
How did they botch that one?
It was awful. And I mean, he got booed out of the place.
Well, yeah,
It was-
it's one of the judges scored it like 118 to 114 or something like that.
It was 116 to 112.
116 to 112, yeah.
And it was just it was
But like that's what boxing's doing now, man. It's like these freaking fighters are fighting to not lose a decision.
Yep. Devin's undefeated, so I don't go into the because I think judges just make bad decisions. I guess it could come out that there's politics involved or whatever. I don't think there is. I think everyone reads into that too much, but I do, however, think that the judge was just wrong, flat out. He really was. Loma was on fire and looked so good.
Well, you get a lot of judges, man. They have absolutely no clue about fighting,
which is frustrating.
They have
so
absolutely
frustrating to me.
No clue, man. There's judges in the state of South Carolina that have never, ever, ever tried to train or do anything to train that, and they are certified as a judge for MMA fight that they have no clue anything about, really. Like they know how to judge, they know how to all right, if he's striking more, this is this, and but come on, man, like you don't know if like a dude's in top half guard or something like that, and a guy, you know how hard it is to reverse somebody, and come up on top and then continue and come back and win. Anyways,
100%.
man, it's just,
no, I agree. There's a lot of stuff
there's a lot of things that they don't understand,
Or take into
or
consideration,
take in consideration how hard it is, or the skill set it takes to do some of these things, man. And they need to put themselves in the position, and not saying that every judge needs to fight or but they need to know more than what they just see on the TV.
Right.
Hey, but there's more, especially nowadays. There's so many like past UFC fighters now and stuff like that. Like why wouldn't some of them get into judging? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it? There's so many former vets,
I think one thing that keeps them from doing it is once they start, whether it's reffing or judging, they can
Can't
no
coach
longer
no more.
corner or coach.
That's one thing with me. I was wanting to be a ref, and I messaged Blake, and I was like, "Hey, man," and he was like, "Well, are you absolutely done cornering for the rest of your like?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not."
Right.
Like, so. But I mean,
even if you were on like a place that's nowhere near me, like what does that have to do with me
It's just
or Josh?
I don't know, man.
It just because I think the thing that they try to avoid with that is the possibility of anybody being able to call favoritism in any way.
Yeah.
You just kind of want to stay away from it. Like there's this podcast and me, for instance.
Yeah.
Like I can have people on, like I'm not going to be reffing one of your fights anyways, right? But I have to be really careful when talking about fighters or anything that I say, because I just don't want anything to be able to be held against me, you know, in the future. And going back real quick to you saying that that they should at least train, right? And that was something when I took the class with Blake and got certified. First question he asked me, first question he asked the entire class was, "Do any of you train?" Well, I think that you should probably at least train for, 6 or so months, whatever the case, because it's only going to help you, right? And if you don't know the basic things, then you might not even know that somebody is in danger or that they're not in danger, or
100%.
whatever the case may be. So
Makes total
that
sense.
was one of the kicks that got me back in the gym training, which I should have honestly.
stopped.
Say what?
Never stopped.
Well, that is true. Although that kind of wasn't my fault per se.
Yeah,
I definitely could have got back a lot sooner. I just waited until I was in a good spot, you know. But being in the cage, you know, as a ref, jiu-jitsu has gone so far. And just me just being where I'm at, you know, I've only been training again for just over a year. But, you know, knowing they're in a good position, knowing what's about to happen. If I see somebody grab for anaconda and I'm standing right behind them, like I should probably move because they're going to get rolled more than likely.
Yes.
You know, just things like that. Positioning, it all plays a part.
100%.
And I think that some of the best referees are all people who have fought
some experience
to some degree, whether it's just kickboxing or Herb Dean. You know, Blake
Dean's done some MMA.
Has he?
Yeah,
he's done
terrible.
MMA as well.
He was terrible. I think he went 0-4 in MMA.
Oh, really? Herb Dean.
Herb Dean.
No way.
Yeah, I know that he was a decent kickboxer though, wasn't he?
I'm not
About
really
Trigg,
sure.
Frank Trigg.
Frank Trigg, yeah.
Trigg.
Yeah.
Frank Trigg. He reffed.
Good fighter right
He
there.
reffed my combat jiu-jitsu worlds match. I was like,
really?
"What? Frank Trigg's here, man? What are you talking
I had no idea
about,
that dude who
man?"
ref my fight in Atlantic City was some jiu-jitsu legend.
Yeah,
Or whatever when you told me.
Vidor Shaolin.
Yeah.
He's an old jiu-jitsu legend, fought in Pride and different things like that. He reffed Austin's fight in New Jersey.
Oh, dope.
And the next weekend he was
Atlantic City.
reffing at one championship, and I was watching the one championship. I was like, I was just in the cage with that dude. I was like, that's pretty cool.
That is sick.
Yeah.
I talked to Blake about getting him on, but he told me that the commissions that he works for wouldn't allow it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I thought that would have been a great person to have on too, just to kind of explain, you know, how things are scored in MMA.
And give us a referee's perspective on certain things.
And I mean, he's a certified judge as well.
bigger-
So,
not that you're not a referee, but like,
he's
had a lot.
No, but he
of,
levels, dude. Like, there's definitely levels of that.
And
I mean, I've
UFC,
reffed
yeah.
like maybe 15 fights, and that guy's done like over 3,000. You know what I mean? Like,
Dang.
big difference.
Yeah.
And the first question he asked us whenever we were all there, because I went ahead and took the judge's test too. He's like, "How are fights scored?" And everybody's like, "Damage, you know, control, aggression." And he's like, "Nah, you're all wrong." And then so I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, "Oh my God, like I've been wrong this entire time." You know, like how else are they scored? And he's like, effective striking is like the number one thing. And if that's even, then it goes to grappling. If that's even, it goes to aggression. If that's even, it goes to control. So if the striking isn't even, none of the other stuff even matters. Which is mind blowing to me, you know. And then as a judge too, whenever you're watching a fight, you know, this dude might get hit 20 times. And he might have only hit the other dude 5 times, but then you got to look at quantity over quality, or quality over quantity.
Effective striking.
Yeah, exactly.
Effective striking can be ground and pound too. You know what I mean?
You're right.
That's
Yeah.
what people don't think about either. It has nothing to do
Elbows
with
on
that
the
I'm
ground,
sitting here
yeah.
boxing this dude. Like I can be in standing, you know, guard or whatever and be blasting this dude in his face, you know. So people forget that it's not effective striking doesn't mean here. Like you can get ground and pound. I mean, I forget somebody just Mackenzie Dern. This last weekend she fought and she looked,
Angela Hill.
She looked amazing. It had like 170 or something significant strikes, and they were like almost all ground and pound for the most part. So
no, that was I didn't get to watch the whole fight. I saw the highlights.
She looked great and like, I mean, better than I've ever seen her look, and it wasn't have anything to do with her jiu-jitsu for the most part. I don't think.
Right, and to outstrike Angela Hill, she's a great striker.
Yeah, and she's older.
Yeah,
I can say old, but she's older. You know what I mean? She's got to be. I think she might be 40 or a little over now.
By the way, kind of off topic a little bit, but it has to do with Angela Hill. Her grandparents, I think one of the first recorded cases in North America for alien abduction. What? Yeah, that's a crazy story. I saw it on Joe Rogan.
Her grandparents?
Yeah, her grandparents.
Alien abduction?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a crazy story. Now, like, believe what you want, you know, but if you listen to it, it's a crazy story.
Did she tell the story?
I think she did, but it's also recorded. Like I said, it was like one of the first cases in North America.
That's crazy.
Of like police involved, military involvement, all kinds of stuff. Crazy shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out. See what's up with that.
That's a crazy one. But yeah, man. So do you have any any info or news on the future right now? Like anything?
We're kind of like, mostly waiting for September 8th for Ring of Combat. If something comes before that, that's like perfect. You know what I mean, or what we're looking for. Then I think we're open to it. But September 8th for Ring of Combat is kind of what we're hoping to get back.
Is that like a northern promotion?
Yeah, it's in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Okay.
Lou Neglia's Ring of Combat, so it's who's fought for Ring of Combat. I mean, it's a very good at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. So
right on.
The promotion, the location, the way you're treated, the
Everything's
matchmaking, everything is exactly how it's supposed
the way
to be.
it should be.
Sweet.
Yep.
So tell people where they can find you, man. Social media is all that good stuff.
Yeah, Instagram is Dar City. Facebook, I don't know. I mean, you just type in Austin Coleman.
Yeah.
I don't have like a, that's pretty much it. I mostly just use Instagram if anybody wants to get a hold of me.
And I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, and
I mean, whenever you said it, as they're watching it, it just pops up above your head. Actually, I'm pointing at it right now.
I do quite a bit of stuff on the social media too. You know what I mean? I post a lot of technique videos for wrestling, so my kids can go back and rewatch some of the stuff that we've been going over, and just for anybody online that's wrestlers, and they've done pretty well too. I mean, a lot of them have blown up and gotten a lot of traction. So pretty cool. Upcoming fight stuff is always on there. Posting on my story all the time, flexing that I'm training as always. But I just want people.
I used to do that.
I just want people to know, you know what I mean? Because some people hit you with
be like, bro, I'm working out here. Look at these abs.
Yeah. Some people will hit you with like, they'll see me at the gym all day and be like, man, you're so lucky you get to be at the gym all day. And it'll make me, I won't act like that towards them, but in my head I'm like, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't know how much work I've put in, how much I've been on this mat to
it's
put myself.
not easy.
No. I put myself in this position to be able to coach all day and train and do this. You know what I mean? And of course the support of, certain people and stuff like that as well. DK, my family and stuff like that. Of course, that's made my life a lot easier. But I put in the work and I put myself in that position to be supported in that way. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they don't know too much about what work really put in, So I like to post as much as possible so people aren't like, oh, how do you do it? You know how I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. So DK, tell people what they can do, man.
Like, subscribe, comment, share too, man. Like, we're trying to get this podcast out a little bit more, have more people on and bigger names and different things like that. So more you like, share, subscribe, comment, it helps us out a lot. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and if you are watching, whether you're watching on the premiere and it's the live comments or whatever, tell us where you're watching from.
Sure.
We want you guys to interact with us. And let us know who you'd like to see on. Now we have some other local guys that a lot of people have reached out on Instagram and recommended that they'd like to see. So we're gonna work on getting them on. And like you said, man, just try to grow the pod. But at the same time, just have fun and every time, try to learn something new. Yeah. So
asking questions and stuff, that helps. So all the people that do watch,
Absolutely.
asking everybody questions and stuff that we can answer and that you guys want to know more about. That's always ideal.
Oh, spoken like a host, man.
Yeah.
I just want to help. I want you guys to blow up too. That's I want everybody to win. That's what helps you win. Is that I'm not selfish. You know what I mean? Like in my training and stuff like that. But as far as my peers and people that love me and support me, I'm all about it.
Cool, man. Well, we appreciate you being on, man. We'll have you on again in the future, bro.
Love it.
So until next time.
Peace.